Hello. I've never made a video on here, but this is my first video, and so I'll be talking about the Bible and the Word. So I was in my mom's room scrolling on social media on Instagram, and I had this voice and something told me to go read my Bible. I hesitated about 15 minutes. I said, okay, I'm gonna read my Bible. But first, I need to find a notepad, like a thing I keep my notes in. So I went to go look for one, and first place I look, boom, it's right there. Okay. Then I open my Bible and I start reading, but I can't see it very well. So I'm like, okay, let me go see if I can find my glasses. I go inside, I try to find my glasses. Can't find them. Come back out, I can see it perfectly fine. But last time I needed my glasses, I couldn't see it. It was like a little blurry and like very small words. But I come back out, sit down, open my Bible again, start reading, perfectly fine. Like nothing happened. So I'm gonna open my Bible and I'm gonna share with y'all of what happened when I read my Bible. Okay, so I have my Bible open, I have my notes with me. They're right here. So if you see me glimpsing down, it's because I'm reading my notes, but most of the time I'll try to look at the camera. So I was praying and I heard something tell me, go read Romans. I said, okay. I opened Romans and what caught my eye was the title of Christ Took Our Punishment. And there's this YouTuber I watch, his name's Bryce Crawford. He goes out, shares the gospel to a lot of people, and he really touches my heart with a lot of stuff he does. So I went to Romans 3:21 and it said Christ took our punishment. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna read that. And then I read, and I see Romans 3:22, and it says, and this is true for everyone who believes, no matter who we are, for everyone has sinned. We all fall short of God's glorious standard, yet God freely and graciously declares that we are righteous. I was like, wow, that is amazing. And then I keep reading, and then I see Romans 3:25, and it says, For God presented Jesus as the sacrifice for sin. People are made right with God when they believe that Jesus sacrificed his life, shedding his blood. And I was like, wow, I'm so glad something told me to go read Romans. And then I keep reading. Everything is like left to right, just touching my heart. And then I read down to Romans 3:28. And it says, it is based on faith. So we are made right with God through faith and not by obeying the law. It's not saying that you shouldn't obey the law of God, but it's saying you need faith and obey the law to be right with God. So in my notes, I wrote something. It was like along these lines where it's like people come to you and say, hey, go help the homeless, go do what's right, and you'll go to heaven. That is false. It's false. What really gets you to heaven, you can pray, get close with God, spread the gospel and stuff like that. But what gets you, the key to heaven is believing that Jesus came for your life and shed his blood on that cross for you and me. For our sins, he took the consequence so we didn't have to do it. See, back in their day, they sacrificed animals for consequences and sacrificed people for their consequences and put them in jail and stuff like that. But yes, we still go to jail if we do murder or something like that. It's like if I go out and kill somebody, I go on trial, right? And that's technically what Jesus did is that, so if we, it says in the Bible, shall not murder, but if we go out and murder someone, then we did not obey his law, his 10 commandments, or his law. But because Jesus died for our sins and bled on the cross, we can ask for forgiveness and he will forgive us, because he is a forgiving Father. So I thought that was also amazing, because it's just amazing how you can ask for forgiveness and someone can forgive you for that, for like not obeying their law or something. So I'm gonna look at my notes real quick and see what I can find. Okay, I already went over that. Also, sometimes you can be sinning, but you just have to stop and think, is this right or wrong? I catch myself sinning sometimes. I'll be not doing what's right, sinning, and I'm like, is this right or wrong? And I stop myself and think for a second. I'm like, this isn't right. I need to stop doing this. So I'll stop doing it. So I'm gonna share my testimony of how I know Jesus is real and that he is our protector. So it was like 2022 or 2023. I was riding four-wheelers with my sister and my stepsister. We used to do this a lot when I went to my stepsister's house. We would ride four-wheelers like every day for at least an hour or two. So I went out, got on the four-wheeler, I start going. I find them, they're over there mudding and stuff. I'm like, okay, I want to go mudding. And so I go mudding with them and all that. It was so fun, having the best time of our lives, laughing, having joy, and all that. So as we're riding, we go mudding and ride for an hour or two. And it was hot that day, so I was like, I feel like I want to go inside and go hang out with my cousins or something. So I'm on my way back to the house that we were staying at. And on the way home, I wrecked the four-wheeler, and all I remember is me passing out and falling off the side of the four-wheeler. And the other thing I remember is just laying on the ground. I feel like my head just busted open. I have a massive rash right here and scars on my ear, my hands, legs, everything. My shoes flew off into the creek, four-wheelers in the creek. And I remember my sister and stepsister picking me up and putting me on their four-wheeler, rushing me to the house. And then I remember waking up on the couch, and they're like, James, shaking me. And I wake up, and they tell me what happens. And what happened was I was riding, and all of a sudden, I just pass out, fall off like I told y'all. But the amazing thing about this is that I could have died that moment. But Jesus has other plans for me, and that's why I'm still here today, talking to y'all and breathing, because I could have died just then, instantly, if that four-wheeler would have hit me and, like, laid on me or, like, just landed on me or anything. But Jesus sent his angels down, and I feel like they just made, like, a bubble around me and made the four-wheeler roll over me, because my sisters told me that I was just laying there and the four-wheeler just goes over me instead of landing on top of me. And then it's just amazing how I was sinning and stuff and all that. And I was still sinning at that time. I wasn't following Christ very well or anything. I would still say I'm a Christian, but I was still sinning. But so after that incident, I started thinking how, wow, Jesus really has a purpose for me and why I'm still here breathing. And so I start thinking of how and why I'm still here. And I just, thinking of it to this day is just amazing how I'm still alive. Because that could have instantly killed me. And I would have been gone from my family and everything. I can't just think of that without tearing up. So I'm going to go back in my notes and see if I have anything else. Okay, so I'm gonna just share with y'all some Bible verses that stood out to me while I was reading my Bible. Romans 3:22 through 24, and it says, "And this is true for everyone who believes, no matter who we are. For everyone has sinned. We all fall short of God's glorious standard, yet God freely and graciously declares that we are righteous." Then we have Romans 3:25. "For God presented Jesus as the sacrifice for sin. People are made right with God when they believe that Jesus sacrificed his life, shedding his blood." Then I have Romans 3:28. "It is based on faith, so we are made right with God through faith, and not obeying the law. Still obey the law." So, if you're just obeying the law, that's good. But you need faith and obey the law to be closer with God and go to heaven. So the key to heaven, remember, is that you believe that Jesus came and died on the cross for our sins and paid the consequence for our sins and what we are doing wrong. So if you ever feel like you're falling short and you're going through tough trials, my go-to Bible verse is James 1:2 through 4. That's my favorite Bible verse ever that I've ever read. And it says, "Consider it pure joy, brothers and sisters, whenever you face many trials of many kinds. Consider it a testing of your faith, for the testing of your faith produces perseverance, so that you will be lacking nothing." And I write a lot of papers about that. And if you ever feel like you don't, if you're in many trials and temptations, go to that verse and read it. It is a very powerful verse for me, and I'm pretty sure for y'all. But I write a paper, and one of the things I say is that if you, like King David, the small King David, and Goliath, the giant, he was undefeatable, and he was just massive, and he was challenging people left to right to fight him, and David said he would fight him. So David had the faith that God will give him the power to kill Goliath, so there will be no more trouble. And remember, David killed Goliath with a small stone and a slingshot. And it's not the slingshots that we have these days, where you just pull out back the rubber band and shoot it. It's one of them like a whip, where you have to swing it and then let go of one band and hold on to the other, so the rock will sling with the power of the band. So it is amazing how David had the faith in God that he would give him the power to defeat Goliath. And if you're ever going through tough trials and temptations, you can talk to people, but the main person you ever need to talk to is Jesus. So that's where I'm going to leave off today, but all I wanted to say here is to remember the key to get to heaven is to know that Jesus died for our sins and he got crucified on the cross for us. Thank you for listening to this, and I hope you have a great day. Goodbye.